Have you seen my childhood?
My name is Larry Nimmer. I'm the guy on the left having lunch in Michael Jackson's kitchen. I was part of the Jackson defense team in my capacity as a documentary filmmaker and legal video specialist. I spent many days videotaping inside Michael Jackson's Neverland estate, and I spent 2 days on the witness stand, presenting and narrating my original video footage for the jury, footage that will be seen outside the courtroom for the first time in this documentary. When I took the job, I was uncertain about the truth of Jackson's guilt or innocence. What I experienced working on the case opened my eyes not only to the dangers of celebrity, but also to a dangerous side of the American justice system. I'll share what I learned about Michael Jackson during my time at Neverland and during his trial. By the end, you'll know what I came to believe about Jackson's guilt or innocence. And hopefully, this documentary will help you make up your mind as well. I'd heard a lot about Neverland Ranch, and I was curious to get an intimate look at the mythical home and playland. As I shot the various nooks and crannies on the property, I wondered if Jackson really was guilty of molesting boys. I was curious to hear the facts in the case, and maybe I was a little worried about finding that he really is a pedophile. After all, he was being charged with 10 counts of child abuse, and he faced a lifetime in prison that many felt he couldn't survive. Having raised a couple of kids myself, I know that child molestation is truly a horrible violation. Could Jackson have crossed the line? But I also saw that Michael seemed sincerely childlike and innocent. It was hard to imagine that he would willingly violate kids whom he seemed to adore.
Oh, you know how to do the moonwalk. I learned it from you guys.
Much of the footage in this documentary was given to me by the attorneys in the case. You'll view outtakes from the Martin Bashir documentary. Michael's defense team hired me to create a Neverland tour video to counter the unsavory impression created by footage shot by the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's.
Sheriff's Department.
I've never seen a case where 70-plus sheriffs show up to raid someone's home like this. I think they wanted to create the impression that Michael Jackson was a dangerous person. And everybody wanted to be part of the Michael Jackson investigation and ultimately the Michael Jackson case. They wanted to create the biggest case in the history of the world, and everybody was just mesmerized by being part of this unusual event, and it was very, very disturbing.
My footage was also intended to offset the insinuations made in a documentary by Martin Bashir.
The Bashir tape, we felt that he was leading Michael into the situation of admitting that there was a problem, that something went wrong, that he did bother some kids. They did sleep in his room, and there was more going on than just sleeping in his room. And we felt that he just literally led him in that direction.
When I got the job, I knew about as much as most people about the career of Michael Jackson. I knew that Jackson had been a big star from an early age, but he had missed out on a normal childhood because of his early stardom and the strict and abusive control of his father, Joe Jackson.
I just wanted to have fun, or know what it's like to have a buddy over, or a slumber party, or a birthday.
When the Bashir documentary, Living with Michael Jackson, came out in 2003, there was a big media and tabloid blitz about his relationship with 13-year-old Gavin Arvizo and about Michael's unorthodox thoughts about sleeping arrangements.
Why can't you share your bed? The most loving thing to do is to share your bed with someone. You know?
You really think that?
Yeah. You say you can have my bed if you want. Sleep in it.
My first meeting at Neverland was with Bob Sanger, one of Jackson's longtime attorneys. He told me about the accusations made by Gavin Arvizo and his family. He said that Gavin and his brother claimed that Michael had molested Gavin, and that additionally, the whole family maintained that they'd been held hostage at Neverland and not allowed to know the time. Gavin Arvizo also claimed that Michael forced him to drink alcohol to help with the molestation. Sanger and the Neverland staff gave me a tour of the estate. Sanger explained that my main assignment would be to make a video tour of Neverland, showing what a visitor sees during a typical visit. My video would be introduced at trial only if the judge would not allow the jurors to make their own visit. Eventually, the judge ruled that the jury could not go to Neverland, and so I became a sworn witness narrating my footage at trial. After my initial visit, I returned to Neverland Ranch a half dozen times with my equipment and assistants to document the place. Roaming around Neverland as I pleased with the staff at my command, I felt like a kid in a candy store, sometimes literally. The only place that was off limits was Michael's dance and recording studio that was seen in the Bashir documentary, and his personal office that was seen in the sheriff's raid footage. I also wasn't allowed to visit the bedrooms of Michael's kids, Paris, Prince, and Blanket. The officers also searched these rooms. Otherwise, nothing else was off limits on the 2,700-acre property. I made this shot when I was told that the Neverland staff often come out to greet important visitors, and truly, the jurors watching my video were going to be important guests. By the way, the majority of the staff that I met seemed to be kind, down-to-earth, regular people. There are lots of statues and mannequins at Neverland, and some of them became an issue at trial. One because it showed a human penis, another because it was claimed that Michael had molested it. In some outtakes from the Bashir documentary, Michael explained why he likes mannequins and dolls so much.
Yeah, I wanted children so bad. It's holding. I have one of the biggest baby doll collections in the world. You see my doll room in Neverland. I have. I put a lot of mannequins in my room in the past, and I still have mannequins in my room because I used to be very lonely, painfully lonely. So you have no idea. I used to walk the streets looking for people to talk to. And I'm talking about the height of one's career, like you say, like Off the Wall, Bad, Thriller, and people, and I would walk up to them, strangers, and say, "Will you be my friend?" And they'd go, "Oh my God, Michael Jackson." And it's not what I wanted. I wanted somebody to love me or be my friend for me, or not to see the external me.
How did Martin Bashir get Michael to open up on camera and give complete access to his life?
He made Michael Jackson think this was going to be a positive documentary, and Michael trusted him partly because he had worked with Princess Diana, whom Michael revered because of her work with children, with animals, her effort to not just sit back and enjoy royalty, but to go around the world and try and achieve something good for humanity. And the fact that Bashir had done a biography of her and had apparently gotten her trust to do that biography severely influenced Michael Jackson, but it was the biggest mistake he ever made. And he did not expect Mr. Bashir to come out with the product that he came out with. And my opinion, watching it, was that Mr. Bashir was very cleverly and very maliciously manipulating him down a path of destruction.
It's about bringing out what you're about. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I know you don't want to be accused of being, you know, but man, when people hear that story, they haven't got a clue. The story of your life.
Little did Michael know that his words would be prophetic when he complained to Bashir during a go-kart race.
Hey, he's cheating! He's cheating!
Michael didn't learn till after the documentary was made that Martin Bashir had been officially reprimanded in Britain for unfair journalistic practices. The defense argued that Bashir's documentary emphasized the bizarre and freakish side of Michael.
Would you like to be buried in something like this?
No.
It's well known that sensational celebrity stories sell. And the more sensational they are, the more money they make in the media marketplace.
The bigger the star, the bigger the target. And the more popular I became, the more rumors that were created, none of which were true.
Just 4 years later, Michael Jackson died suddenly. The stress of the trial and the constant criticisms may have contributed to his death, and he passed away of a heart attack on June 25, 2009. From around the world, fans gathered at the UCLA hospital where he died, the family compound in Encino, at Michael's rented home in the Holmby Hills, at his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and at the Staples Center, where he'd been rehearsing for a series of sold-out concerts in London. On the day of his funeral, there was one more piece to the untold story of Neverland. coming from Michael's 11-year-old daughter, Paris, speaking to the world for the first time about the kind of father she had.
I just wanted to say, speak up, sweetheart, speak up. Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine. And I just wanted to say I love him so much.